The stars stretched endlessly before Commander Elena Vasquez as she stood on the bridge of the UES Pathfinder. Humanity's first true deep space exploration vesselet was 2247, and humanity had finally cracked the secret of faster than light travel after decades of theoretical work and failed experiments. The Pathfinder cut through the darkness beyond Neptune's orbit. Its mission's simple: survey the outer reaches of the solar system and catalog any anomalies that might have been missed by earlier probe missions. Elena had spent 15 years training for this moment, rising through the ranks of the United Earth Space Command, and now she commanded a crew of 42 scientists, engineers, and explorers. The bridge hummed with quiet efficiency as her crew worked at their stations, monitoring sensors and checking navigation data. Commander, we're approaching the designated coordinates in the Kuiper Belt. Lieutenant Marcus Webb called from the navigation station. His voice carried the slight edge of excitement that came with exploring truly unknown territory. Elena nodded and moved closer to the main display screen where a three-dimensional map of their surroundings rotated slowly. The Kuiper Belt stretched out around them, filled with countless ice-covered rocks and debris left over from the formation of the solar system. Billions of years ago, all stations. Begin detailed scans, Elena ordered. Let's see what secrets the outer system has been hiding for 2 hours. They moved through the belt, cataloging asteroids and measuring radiation levels. It was routine work, the kind that built humanity's database of knowledge piece by piece. Then everything changed, Commander. The shout came from Dr. Sarah Chen at the science station. Her eyes were wide as she stared at her displays. I'm reading something massive. Hidden in the shadow of KBO 7743, Elena felt her pulse quicken. Define massive, approximately 2 kilometers in length. Metallic composition, and Commander Sarah's hands flew across her controls. It's giving off a faint power signature. It's active. The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what this meant. Humanity had been broadcasting messages into space for over 2 centuries, listening with increasingly sophisticated equipment, hoping for any sign that they weren't alone in the universe. The silence had been absolute until now. Red alert, Lena said quietly. All hands to station's web, plot and approach vector. Chen, I want every sensor we have focused on that object. The Pathfinder moved slowly toward the coordinates, and as they drew closer, the object resolved on their visual displays. It was unlike anything humanity had ever built. The structure was elegant, almost organic in its design, with sweeping curves and surfaces that seemed to shimmer with an inner light. Strange symbols covered its hull, glowing faintly in the darkness. No signs of weapons, reported Lieutenant Jackson from Tactical. But Commander, the energy readings are off the charts. This thing has power systems that make our fusion reactors look like candles. Elena Mater. Decision, take us in closer. Prepare a probe for detailed analysis. As they approached within 500 meters, something unexpected happened. The alien station seemed to wake up. Lights flickered across its surface in cascading patterns, and a low-frequency hum vibrated through the Pathfinder's hull. It's responding to our presence, Sarah shouted. Commander, it's scanning Usaim, reading multiple sensor sweeps across all frequencies. Should we retreat? Webb asked, his hand hovering over the navigation. Control. Selena stared at the station, her mind racing through possibilities. This was first contact, or at least the evidence of alien intelligence that humanity had dreamed of for generations. Hold position, she said. Let it scan us. Record everything. The scanning continued for 7 minutes, then stopped as abruptly as it had begun. Then a section of the station's hull irised open, revealing a docking port that was clearly designed for vessels much different from human ships. It's inviting us in, Sarah whispered. Elena knew this moment would define not just her career, but potentially humanity's future. Prep the shuttle, she ordered. Chen, Webb, Jackson, you're with me. The rest of you maintain position and keep all channels open. If anything goes wrong, you jump back to Earth and report everything. 40 minutes later, Elena and her team floated through the alien airlock in their bulky EVA suits. The interior of the station was breathtaking. Walls of an unknown material glowed with soft bioluminescence, and the air, yes, there was air registered as breathable on their scanners. The gravity was slightly lighter than Earth normal. Comfortable enough to move in, they found themselves in a vast circular chamber dominated by a central column of crystalline Technology holographic displays flickered to life around them, showing star maps and streams of data and languages. Alina couldn't begin to understand. This is incredible. Jackson breathed. This technology is centuries beyond ours. Maybe millennia. Sarah had already pulled out her portable scanner and was recording everything. Commander, look at this. She pointed to one of the holographic displays where an image of Earth rotated slowly next to it. Human figures appeared, recordings of humanity throughout history. From ancient civilizations to modern cities, it's been watching us, Elena said. The realization hitting her like a physical blow. For how long? Sarah manipulated the controls hesitantly, and the display rewound. Images flickered past. The first spaceflight. World War II, the Industrial Revolution, medieval kingdoms, Rome, Egypt, and further back still to prehistory, thousands of years. Sarah said in awe, this station has been monitoring Earth for thousands of years. Webb had moved to another section of the chamber. Commander, you need to see this. He had activated another display. And what it showed made Elena's blood run cold. It was a communication network, vast and complex, connecting thousands of points of light across a map of the galaxy. Each point represented a world. In text and alien scripts scrolled past too quickly to read, but one word appeared over and over, and the station's translation protocols kicked in, rendering it in English. Council, there's a galactic government, Lena said slowly, and they know about Earth. Jackson had found another terminal. Commander, I've got something here. It's labeled Quarantine Protocols System. The team gathered around as Jackson opened the file. What they read in the translated text would haunt Alina for the rest of her life. Humanity had been classified as a hazard species. Report detailed observations of human warfare, technological development, and what the Council termed uncontrolled aggressive expansion patterns. The conclusion was stark. Humanity represented a potential threat to galactic stability and must be contained. They've been keeping us isolated, Sarah said, her voice shaking. All those messages we sent into space, they heard them. They just never answered. Alina scrolled through more files, finding references to other species, other worlds that had been quarantined. The Kresh, the Velkari, the Dromathal, marked with the same designation, hazard species, all marked with the same final status, threat neutralized. What does that mean? Webb asked. Neutralized. Alina didn't want to answer, but she had to. I think it means they were destroyed. The implications crashed down on all of them. Humanity wasn't alone in the universe. But the galaxy had chosen silence over contact, chosen isolation over communication, and somewhere out in the darkness, the Council was watching, waiting, deciding humanity's fate. We need to get this information back to Earth, Alina said, her voice steady, despite the fear coursing through her. Command needs to know what we're dealing with. As they prepared to leave the station, Sarah noticed something else. Commander, there's another file here. It's marked Containment Fleets All System Active Assignment. Alina opened it, and her worst fears were confirmed. Outside their solar system, hidden and waiting, a Council fleet sat in position. The orders were clear. If humanity developed FTL technology and attempted to breach the quarantine, the fleet would move in. Earth would be sterilized, the threat neutralized. How long do we have? Jackson asked quietly. Sarah checked the timestamps, the fleet monitors, the relay station when we activated it. We triggered an alert based on the response protocols. We have approximately 6 months before they realize we've discovered the quarantine and moved to containment. Alina looked at her team, seeing her own fear and determination reflected in their faces. Then we have 6 months to figure out how to save humanity, she said. Let's get back to the Pathfinder. Earth needs to know that the silence wasn't empty, was a cage, and we just rattled the bars. The emergency session of the United Earth Government convened 6 hours after the Pathfinder transmitted its findings. Back to Earth leaders from every nation gathered in the Assembly Hall in Geneva, their faces projected on massive screens that surrounded the circular. Chamber Secretary General Patricia Okonkwo stood at the central podium, her expression grave as she addressed the assembled representatives. What? Commander Vasquez has discovered changes. Everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe, she began. We are not alone. But we are in grave danger. The hall erupted in competing voices. Questions shouted over one another in a dozen languages. Patricia raised her hand for silence, Doctor. Chen and her team have spent the past 3 days analyzing the data from the relay station, Sarah. Please present your findings, Sarah appeared on the screens. Still aboard the Pathfinder as it raced back toward Earth behind her. The decoded alien files scrolled across displays. The Council has existed for over 12 million years. Sarah explained it's composed of 47 different species, spread across thousands of worlds. Every single one of them achieved space travel through what they call peaceful evolutionary ascension. Gradual technological development over millions of years, with minimal internal conflict. She pulled up images of Council species. They were diverse in form, some bipedal, others radically different, but all shared certain characteristics. Their worlds showed no signs of the industrial scars that marked Earth's development. Their histories contained almost no record of warfare. They view conflict as an aberration. Sarah continued, something that happened in their distant past and was overcome through collective harmony. When they formed the Council, they established protocols for encountering new species. A new file appeared on the screens. This is the Hazard Species Protocol. It was created after the Council encountered the Kresh approximately 1,000 years ago. The assembled leaders leaned forward as images of the Kresh homeworld appeared, a planet remarkably similar to Earth. With oceans and continents, the Kresh developed technology rapidly. Just like humanity, Sarah said, they had conflicts, wars, competition between nations. When they achieved space travel and encountered the Council, the Council's response was, she paused, choosing her words carefully, to study them from a distance. What happened to them? Asked Ambassador Chen Wei from the Chinese delegation. Sarah's expression darkened. The Kresh attempted to expand beyond their home system. The Council implemented the Hazard Species Protocol. They sent a containment fleet. The Kresh refused to stand down. The screen showed the final report. A planet rendered lifeless. Its atmosphere burned away by weapons humanity could barely comprehend. 3 billion Kresh died. Sarah said quietly. The Council justified it as necessary to preserve galactic stability. The hall fell into shocked silence. There were 2 others. Sarah continued. The Valkyrie, destroyed 108,000 years ago. The Dramoth, eliminated 42,000 years ago, all for the same reason. They were too aggressive, too quick to develop, too dangerous to be allowed into the galaxy. Patricia stepped forward again. The data shows that humanity has been under surveillance for at least 8,000 years. The Council classified us as a hazard species approximately 2,000 years ago. After observing our persistent warfare and rapid technological advancement, they've been jamming our attempts at communication and waiting to see if we would develop FTL capability. And now we have, said President Morrison of the North American Union, which means they'll come for us. Just like they came for the others. How much time do we have? Admiral James Chuno, relation to Sarah, stood from his seat in the military section. He was a tall man with iron-gray hair and the bearing of someone who had spent 40 years in Earth's defense forces, according to the relay station's protocols. The containment fleet monitors for specific trigger events. The activation of the relay was one such event. Our analysis suggests we have between 5 and 7 months before they confirm that we've achieved FTL and discovered the quarantine. Once that confirmation occurs, the fleet will move to implement containment. How many ships? Someone asked. 12 capital vessels. Admiral Chen replied, each one massing over 10 times our largest battlecruiser. Armaments include directed energy weapons, kinetic impactors, and something the files call atmospheric dissolution arrays in a straight fight. We would last approximately 14 minutes. The assembly dissolved into chaos. Delegates shouted for immediate surrender, arguing that humanity should petition the Council for mercy. Others demanded that Earth's militaries begin crash programs to develop defensive weapons. Still others proposed evacuating Earth entirely, scattering humanity across the solar system in the hope that some would survive. Patricia let them argue for 10 minutes before calling for order again. We have 3 options before us, she said. Surrender, fight, or flee each has been analyzed by our strategic planning committees. Surrender means placing ourselves at the Council's mercy. Given what happened to the other hazard species, that mercy appears to be in short supply, she gestured to the military advisors. Fighting is suicide. We cannot match their technology or numbers. Fleeing, she paused. Fleeing might give some of us time, but where would we go? They control the galaxy. Commander Vasquez appeared on the screens. Having joined the transmission from the Pathfinder, there may be a fourth option. She said, all eyes turned to her image. The Council fears us because of what we might become. Not what we are. They've never actually talked to us. Never tried to understand us. What if we force them to? How? Patricia asked. Helena took a deep breath. We don't surrender. And we don't hide. We tell them we're coming. We give them an ultimatum. Accept us. Or fight us. Make them choose between their principles and their prejudices. The suggestion was met with immediate opposition. That's insane, shouted the Russian Federation's representative. You want to threaten a galactic empire that has existed for millions of years? Not threaten, Elena corrected. Challenge. The Council prides itself on being peaceful, civilized. Evolve beyond conflict. We force them to prove it. We announce our intention to join the galaxy. Peacefully if possible, we show them that we understand their fears, but refuse to be judged without a chance to speak for ourselves. Admiral Chen stood again, and Alina noticed the calculating look in his eyes. Commander Vasquez is right, he said slowly. We can't win a war, but we can win a moral argument, if we're clever about it. The Council has kept us ignorant and isolated for thousands of years. That's not the action of a benevolent civilization. That's tyranny. We expose that. How? Patricia asked. We have 6 months. The Admiral said. We use them to build not weapons colony as ships. We prepare to leave Earth. Not as invaders, but as survivors. We document everything. Our art, our science, our history. We show them what they would be destroying, and then we send them a message, one they can't ignore over the following weeks. The plan took shape. It was called Project Exodus, and it mobilized every resource humanity possessed. Shipyards that had been building cargo, haulers and mining vessels were retooled for colony. Ship scientists worked around the clock to improve FTL drives and life support systems. Warehouses filled with seeds, genetic samples, cultural artifacts, everything needed to preserve human civilization. The work was done in secret at first, but gradually the truth leaked out. The people of Earth learned that they were not alone in the universe, and that the universe had judged them unworthy instead of despair. Something unexpected happened. Humanity united. Doled. Conflict seemed petty in the face of extinction. Resources were shared freely between nations. Volunteers flooded recruitment centers. Eager to be part of the colony, missions. Children in schools learned about the Kresh and the Valkyrie and the drama species that had died alone. Unheard, we will not be silent, became a rallying cry across every continent 5 months into the project. The colony ships began taking shape in orbital construction yards. They were beautiful vessels, designed not for war but for life. Each one carried 10,000 people in cryogenic suspension, along with supplies and equipment to establish self-sufficient colonies. Dr. Vasquez, now promoted to admiral and placed in charge of the First Fleet, stood in the observation deck of the UES Horizon, the flagship of humanity's colonial armada. Around her, dozens of ships floated in formation, their hulls gleaming with fresh paint. It's almost time, Admiral Chen said. Joining her at the window, he had become her closest advisor during the preparation. The message is ready, Alina. Nadad. They had debated the wording for weeks, refining every phrase. It had to be perfect, strong, but not aggressive, defiant but not suicidal, broadcast on all Council frequencies. She ordered, let them hear us. The message went out across the galaxy, transmitted at power levels impossible to ignore, to the Galaxy Council. We are a humanity of Earth. We have discovered your quarantine. We understand that you fear us, that you see in our history reasons to judge us dangerous. We acknowledge our conflicts, our wars, our mistakes, but we refuse to be sentenced without being heard. We refuse to die quietly in the dark for thousands of years. You watched us and said nothing. You denied us the chance to learn from you, to grow with your guidance. You made us strangers and then judged us for being strange. We are leaving Earth. The council chamber existed in a space that defied conventional physics. A meeting place where representatives from 47 species could gather, despite being separated by thousands of light-years. Chamber appeared as a vast sphere, its walls displaying the swirling beauty of nebulae and star clusters. At the center floated 47 platforms, each designed to accommodate the unique physiological needs of its species today. Every platform was occupied. The emergency session had been called within hours of receiving humanity's transmission, and the assembled representatives radiated tension through their various means of expression. High Chancellor Zekthorn of the Zarkith stood at the primary platform, his crystalline form refracting the chamber's ambient light into rainbow patterns. The Zerketh were among the Council's eldest species. Having achieved space travel over 8 million years ago, this session is called to order. Zekthorn's voice resonated through translation fields that converted his crystalline harmonics into forms each species could understand. We face a crisis unprecedented in Council history. The humans of Earth have discovered the quarantine and rejected it. Counselor Kython of the Meridian drifted forward on her platform, her ethereal form shifting through colors that indicated deep concern. The Meridian were philosophers and diplomats, known for their measured approach to conflict. High Chancellor, I must object to the characterization of this as unprecedented. Kython said, we have encountered hazard species before. What is unprecedented is that this species knows about the quarantine and has chosen to challenge it openly. A distinction without meaning, rumbled Vertigog of the Krathon, a massive being whose rocky exterior pulsed with veins of molten material. Hazard species must be contained. The protocol is clear. The humans have achieved FTL capability and demonstrate aggressive expansion, intent deploy the containment fleet immediately and commit genocide. Kython's colors flashed with anger. Did you listen to their message? They are not threatening us. They are asking for the chance to exist. Their message was a threat. Zekthorn interjected. They demand we accept them or be labeled tyrants. This is manipulation. An attempt to force the Council's hand through moral blackmail. Kython's form pulsed with frustrated blues and purples, or perhaps they are right. We have watched them for 8,000 years, and never once attempted communication. We denied them the opportunity to learn from our example. How can we judge them fairly when we refuse to guide them? The chamber erupted in competing voices. Some species argued for immediate containment, citing the precedents of the Kresh, Valkyrie, and Dramath, led by the Meridian and their allies. Called for dialogue. Third faction advocated for simply withdrawing from the region of space and letting humanity expand unopposed. Avoiding the problem entirely. Admiral Thelkas of the containment fleet watched the proceedings through his command ship's communication arrays. Was Zarkith like the High Chancellor, but unlike Zekthorn, who had spent millennia in political chambers? Thelkas had served in the Council's military forces. For 6 million years he had seen the aftermath of hazard species contact. He had studied the records of what happened when aggressive species encountered peaceful ones, but he had also watched humanity with growing fascination over the past century. Admiral, we have new sensor data from the Sol system. Second in command reported the humans are launching ships. Thelkas examined the tactical displayed. Dozens of vessels were departing Earth's orbital space, heading in multiple directions. Those are not warships. His tactical officer observed configurations suggests colony vessels. They're really doing it. Evacuating their planet. Track them. Thelkas ordered. I want trajectory projections for every ship. The data came back minutes later, and Thelkas felt something he hadn't experienced in millennia. Surprise? They lied about the coordinates, he said quietly. Star systems in their message. None of these ships are heading there. They're scattering across different vectors entirely. His second in command's crystalline form flickered with confusion. Why announce false destinations? Because they knew we would try to intercept. Thelkos replied, they gave us targets to focus on while their real colony ships escaped in other directions. It's a classic military deception. Should we pursue? Thelkos studied the trajectories. Human ships were spreading across a volume of space too large to cover with his fleet if he divided his forces to pursue. Each group would be vulnerable. He concentrated his fleet. Most of the humans would escape clever, he murmured. They are forcing us to choose between total extermination and allowing them to establish themselves. If we chase them all, we dilute our strength if we destroy Earth. We prove them right about us being tyrants back in the council chamber. The debate had reached a critical point. Counselor Davari of the Symphonic Collective had called for a vote on immediate containment. We cannot allow sentiment to override security. Davari's musical tones rang through the chamber. The hazard species protocol exists because species, like humanity, represent genuine threats to galactic peace. We have seen this pattern before a technological advancement. Unresolved internal conflicts, aggressive expansion every time we have hesitated. We have regretted it. The humans are different. Kython insisted. They know we exist. They know we fear them. And they are trying to communicate despite that fear. The Kresh attacked us the moment they encountered our vessels. The Valkyrie attempted to conquer their neighboring systems. The Dramath refused all diplomatic contact. The humans have done none of these things, not yet. Zekthern said, but their message makes clear they will resist containment. That resistance will require military force. Do you truly believe they will remain peaceful when we attempt to stop them? Kython's colors shifted to determined silver. Then perhaps we should not try to stop them. The chamber fell silent. You cannot be serious. Vertog said, finally, we allow a hazard species to expand unchecked into the galaxy. I am entirely serious, Kython replied. For 12 million years, the Council has prided itself on being a peaceful civilization. We claim to have evolved beyond the barbarism of conflict, yet our response to species that remind us of our own violent past is extermination. How evolved are we really? This is not about evolution. Getherna's voice carried the weight of ages. This is about survival. The humans are dangerous because they are unpredictable. They advance too quickly. Adapt readily in another 1,000 years. They could threaten the entire council, or they could enrich it. Kythern countered, every species in this chamber shares similar biochemistry. Similar evolutionary paths. We think alike because we developed alike. Perhaps that is why our civilization has stagnated. We have made no significant advancement in technology or philosophy. In over 3 million years we maintain, we preserve, but we do not grow. The accusation struck deep. Several counselors shifted uncomfortably on their platforms. It was a truth they rarely acknowledged. The Council's great age had brought stability, but also stasis. The humans think differently because they evolved differently. Kython continued, yes, they are aggressive, but that aggression drove them from caves to starships in mere millennia. Yes, they have conflicts, but those conflicts forged philosophies of cooperation and coexistence. Yes, they are dangerous, but so is everything worth encountering. We have a choice before us today. We can maintain our perfect, peaceful, dying civilization by destroying anything that threatens to change it, or we can risk allowing something new, something vital, something alive into our galaxy. Beautiful rhetoric, Zekthern said coldly. But rhetoric will not save the Council if the humans prove as dangerous as we fear. A new voice entered the debate. Counselor Shalanari of the Archives, a species that rarely spoke in council sessions, activated her platform. The archivists were living databases. Their bodies evolved to store and process vast amounts of information. I have reviewed the complete human cultural database that was included in their transmission. Shalanari said, might I share an observation? Zektharn gestured assent. The humans included something curious in their message. Their complete history. Unedited, they showed us their wars, their genocides. Their failures. They did not hide their darkest moments. Why would they do this if they wished to present themselves as non-threatening? The question hung in the chamber because they are honest. Kython said softly, perhaps dangerously, so Shalanari continued. I also reviewed the histories of the Kresh, Velkari and Dreymoth. None of them showed self-awareness of their violent tendencies. None of them attempted to reform or change. The humans have spent the last 2 centuries actively working to overcome their conflicts. They established global governance, banned weapons of mass destruction, created frameworks for cooperation. They are trying to be better than they were. Is that not what we claim to value? Furtog's molten veins pulsed faster. or it is deception. They present themselves as reformed to gain our trust. The vote must proceed. Zekthorn declared all in favor of immediate containment. 23 platforms lit with affirmative signals opposed. 18 platforms signaled opposition abstentions. 6 platforms remained neutral. The motion fails to achieve the required 2/3 majority, Zekthorn announced, his crystalline form radiating frustration. The 30-day countdown reached 0 while Admiral Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of the UES horizon. Watching her tactical displays with steady eyes around Earth, 42 colony ships floated in formation, their engines primed and ready aboard those ships. 420,000 people lay in cryogenic suspension. Chosen from volunteers across every nation and culture, they were humanity's seeds. Ready to be scattered across the stars, Admiral? We're receiving a transmission. Lieutenant Webb reported it's on council frequencies. Alina felt her heartbeat quicken. Put it through the bridge's main display flickered, and an alien face appeared. It was crystalline and beautiful, refracting light in patterns that hurt to look at directly. The translation matrix embedded in the transmission converted the being's harmonic resonances into English. I am Admiral Thelkas of the Council Containment Fleet. The alien said, You are Admiral Vasquez of humanity? I am, Alina replied, keeping her voice steady. This was at first contact, but not the kind humanity had dreamed of. This was the conversation that would determine whether her species lived or died. Your countdown has expired. Thelka said, We have observed your colony ships preparing to depart. The council has debated your message at length. Alina braced herself for the worst. And what did they decide? They decided nothing, Thelkos replied. And Alina thought she detected something like frustration in the aliens' tone. The council is divided. Some demand your immediate destruction, others argue for diplomatic contact. A compromise was reached that satisfies no one. What kind of compromise? You will be allowed to establish your colonies, Thelka said, but you will be monitored closely. Any act of aggression, any attempt to expand beyond your designated territories, any threat to council species will result in immediate containment. You are on probation. Admiral Vasquez, you exist at our sufferance, and that sufferance can be revoked at any moment. Alina felt a complex mixture of relief and anger. Humanity would live, but as prisoners granted temporary parole, and if we refuse those terms, she asked, if we decide your surveillance is unacceptable? Thelkas's form shifted in a way that might have been a shrug. Then we destroy you. And everyone remembers that humanity chose extinction over cooperation. Your message spoke of welcoming you as equals or proving ourselves tyrants. We are offering you a middle path. Prove yourselves worthy of equality, or prove us right to fear you, Alina wanted to argue, to rage against the injustice of it, but she had not come this far to throw away humanity's chance out of pride. We accept your terms, she said, but Admiral Thelkas, understand this. We will prove ourselves, and when we do, the Council will owe us an apology for 8,000 years of isolation if you prove yourselves. I will personally deliver it, Thelkos replied. Where do you intend to establish your colonies? Alina pulled up a star chart. We're transmitting coordinates for 3 star systems. All are uninhabited. All are far from Council territories. We want no conflict with your species. Thelkos examined the data. These are acceptable locations. My fleet will escort you to ensure safe passage. You understand this is also to ensure you arrive at the stated destinations? We understand, Elena said. We lied about our destinations in the original message because we didn't trust you not to destroy us. Now you're offering safe passage. We have no reason to deceive you further. A rational position. Thelka said, I am beginning to understand why Counselor Kythan argued in your favor. The transmission ended, and Alina allowed herself a moment of weakness. Slumping in her command chair, we did it. Webb said quietly, we actually did it. We did nothing yet, Lena replied. We bought time now. We have to prove we deserve it. The colony ships departed Earth's orbit in 3 groups, each escorted by vessels of the Council's containment fleet. The journey to the designated star systems took 3 weeks at FTL speeds. During that time, Alina found herself in regular communication with Admiral Elsa, though the Sarkith Admiral was ancient by human standards, over 6 million years old, but he possessed a sharp military mind and a curiosity that Alina had not expected. Your species fascinates me, Thelkus admitted during one of their conversations. You developed so quickly. In the time my species took to invent agriculture, you went from stone tools to space travel? Is that why you fear us? Alina asked partially. Thelkus said, but also because you are so different from us. Every council species evolved on peaceful worlds with abundant resources. We had the luxury of slow development, of learning cooperation. Before we learned warfare, Earth was not so kind. No. Alina agreed. Earth tested us constantly. Ice ages, predators, disease, scarcity. We survived by being adaptable, creative, and you're aggressive when necessary, and now you bring that survival instinct to the stars. Thelka said, many on the council see that as a threat. What do you see? The Zarkith Admiral was quiet for a long moment. I see a species that refuses to die. He said finally, there is something admirable in that. Even if it is also frightening. The first colony fleet arrived at a star system. Humanity designated New Hope Hit was a G-type star with 4 planets, one of which resided firmly in the habitable zone. Initial scans showed a world rich in water and minerals, with a breathable atmosphere and no intelligent life. It's perfect, Sarah Chen said as she studied the data. She had chosen to join the first colony mission, eager to establish humanity's scientific presence beyond Earth. Almost to perfect, the council scans confirmed it's empty. Alina replied, they have no reason to lie about that. Over the following weeks, the colony ships descended to New Hope's surface. The planet was beautiful blue oceans, green countenance, white clouds swirling in atmospheric patterns. It looked so much like Earth that some colonists wept when they first saw it. From orbit construction, teams worked with desperate efficiency. Prefabricated structures rose from the landing sites, forming the skeleton of humanity's first interstellar city. Power generators came online, followed by atmospheric processors, hydroponic farms, and communication arrays. Within 2 months, 10,000 colonists had been awakened from cryosleep, where scientists, engineers, farmers, teachers, every skill humanity needed to build a new civilization. Admiral Thelkus's fleet maintained a discreet distance, observing but not interfering. Alina had moved down to the colony's command center, a low building near the central square of what the colonists had named Unity City. Shea was reviewing construction reports when an urgent message came through. Admiral, we're detecting an unauthorized transmission from the surface. The communications officer reported someone is broadcasting on council frequencies. Alina felt ice in her veins. What are they saying? It's not from our colony, the officer said. Confused, the signal is coming from the southern continent, where we haven't established any presence yet. Sarah Chen rushed to Elena's office minutes later. I analyzed the transmission source, she said breathlessly. Elena, there's already someone on this planet. The council said it was uninhabited. Not someone, Sarah corrected. Something. The transmission is automated. Very old, I think. She paused, checking her data again. I think it's Velkari. The name sent shockwaves through the command center. The Velkari were one of the hazard species that the council claimed to have neutralized nearly 200,000 years ago. That's impossible, Alina said. The council's records showed they were exterminated. Their homeworld was sterilized. Apparently not all of them, Sarah replied. She pulled up a translation of the signal. The message is repeating every 10 minutes. It says, to any who can hear, we survived. We hid among the stars when our world died. We are the Velkari, and we are not alone. Alina immediately contacted Admiral Thelkost. Zarketh's crystalline form appeared on her display, and for the first time Alina saw something like shock in his alien features. You found Velkari on New Hope? He demanded. How is that possible? We surveyed that system thoroughly. Apparently not thoroughly enough, Alina said. Admiral, the records claim the Velkari were eliminated. Are there other species you supposedly destroyed who might still be out there? Thelkos was silent for a long moment. I need to report this to the council immediately. Do not approach the Velkari signal source. Do not attempt contact. This changes everything with respect. Admiral, no. Alina said firmly. We're going to investigate, and if there are Valkyrie survivors, we're going to talk to them. They might be dangerous. So are we, according to you, Lena replied. If the Valkyrie survived your extermination and have been hiding for 200,000 years, I want to know how, more importantly, I want to know why the Council lied about destroying them. She cut the transmission before Thelkos could respond within hours. Alina led an expedition south in atmospheric shuttles. The journey took them over pristine wilderness, forests that had never known human footsteps, the Valkyrie. Signal originated from a mountain range near the coast as they approached. Sensors detected artificial structures built into the mountainside. Camouflaged to blend with the natural rock, the expedition landed at the base of the mountain and approached on foot. The entrance to the Valkyrie facility was marked with symbols in a language Alina didn't recognize, but the translation software worked quickly. Welcome, strangers, the symbols read. We have been waiting. Admiral Thelkos faced the council chamber. With a burden he had not carried in 6 million years, the weight of being wrong, his crystalline form stood at the military platform, while species waited for his report. Though discovery of living Valkyrie had sent shockwaves through the galactic government, the humans found a Valkyrie colony on the world-designated New Hope. Thelkos began population, 1,000 individuals in suspended animation, plus one watcher awakened by the humans' arrival. This colony has been hidden for 187,000 years. High Chancellor Zekthern's form blazed with anger. Impossible. The Valkyrie were neutralized. I reviewed the containment reports myself. The reports were accurate regarding the Valkyrie home world. Thelkos said carefully, however. It appears that before the containment action, some Valkyrie escaped in colony ships they scattered to remote, uninhabited systems and hid using advanced stealth technology. Why were we never informed? Vertog demanded. Because we never looked, Thelkos replied after containment actions. We assumed a total elimination. We marked the species as neutralized and moved on. We never considered that survivors might exist. Counselor Keithan drifted forward, her colors showing a mixture of vindication and sorrow. So we told ourselves we had eliminated a threat, when in truth we simply drove them into hiding. How many other neutralized species might still be out there, hiding from us? A comprehensive scan of all systems where hazard species were contained would take decades, Thelkos admitted, but given this discovery, I recommend we begin immediately. That is not the immediate concern, Zektharn said. What are the humans doing with the Valkyrie? Thelkos pulled up surveillance data. They are communicating. Admiral Vasquez has spent the past week in constant dialogue with the Valkyrie Watcher. They appear to be establishing formal relations. They're allying with them. Vertog's molten veins pulsed rapidly. This is exactly what we feared. The humans are gathering other hazard species to challenge the Council, or Keithan said quietly. They are doing what we should have done from the beginning. Talking to them, may I share what the humans transmitted to us this morning? She activated a recording. Alina Vasquez appeared, standing next to Kethral the Valkarabath, looked directly at the camera with expressions of determination to the Galaxy Council. Alina began, we have discovered that the Valkyrie were not exterminated as your records claim. They survived, hidden and afraid, for nearly 200,000 years. They survived because you taught them that the price of being different was death. Kethral spoke next. The translation, rendering the Valkyrie's musical language into Council standard. We do not seek revenge for what was done to our home world. We understand that the Council feared us, just as they fear humanity now. But we also know that fear is not wisdom for 200,000 years. We could have contributed to galactic civilization. Instead, we slept in the dark. Our knowledge and culture wasted, Alina continued. The Council stands at a crossroads. You can continue your policy of isolation and elimination, proving that your civilization is built on fear, or you can choose a different path. Humanity offers the Council in exchange. We will share our technology, our perspectives, our creativity. The Valkyrie will do the same in return. You will grant us full membership in the galactic community, not as probationary members watched for signs of danger, but as equals with voices in Council decisions, Kethral added. We also request that the Council conduct a thorough search for other hazard species survivors. if the Dramath or Kresh still live in hiding. They deserve the chance to emerge. The galaxy is large enough for all of us. Elena's expression hardened. You have 30 days to respond if you reject this offer. Humanity and the Valkyrie will proceed independently. We will establish our own coalition, our own governance, our own future. We will not seek conflict with the Council. But we will no longer seek your approval. Either the choice is yours, a galaxy divided, or a galaxy united. Choose wisely. The recording ended. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Admiral Thelkus watched the debate rage around him and realized something fundamental had shifted for 12 million years. The council had maintained order through unanimous consensus and the threat of containment now for the first time. They faced species that refused to be contained and had the capability to survive independently. Those species were right. He accessed his personal archives, reviewing the containment actions he had overseen during his long service. The Kresh, destroyed for their aggressive expansion. The Valkyrie, supposedly eliminated for refusing diplomatic contact. The Dramath, neutralized for developing dangerous weapons. Each time, the Council had chosen the certainty of elimination over the risk of coexistence. Each time, they had told themselves it was necessary, but was it? Or had they simply chosen the easy path, the path that required no change, no adaptation, no growth? Thelkus made a decision that would define the rest of his existence. He activated his platform's communication array, overriding the chaotic debate. High Chancellor, Council members, I request permission to speak. The chamber quieted thought. I rarely spoke in political sessions, preferring to let civilians handle governance while he handled security when he did speak. The Council listened. I have served the Council's military forces for 6 million years, Thelkus began. I have overseen containment operations, protected Council space from threats, and enforced our laws across 1,000 systems. I believed I was serving the greater good, but Admiral Vasquez asked me a question that I cannot stop thinking about. How evolved are we? Really? We claim to have transcended violence and conflict, yet our first response to species that remind us of our own violent past is extermination. We pride ourselves on wisdom and patience, yet we refuse to spend even a few centuries attempting to guide the younger species before condemning them. We call ourselves civilized, yet we lied to ourselves for 200,000 years about the Valkyrie. Rather than admit that some survived and we simply did not look, the chamber was deathly silent. The humans in Velkassar are right, Thelkus said. We are acting out of fear, not wisdom, and I am tired of being afraid. Zektharn's crystalline form blazed. You would abandon your duty, accept these hazard species into the Council? I would embrace the chance to stop being stagnant, Thelkus replied. When was the last time the Council created something new, discovered something unexpected, changed in any meaningful way? We maintain, we preserve, we fear change because change is risky. The humans in Valkyrie are risky. They're also alive in ways we have forgotten how to be. Counselor Kythan Eskler's blazed with gratitude. Admiral Thelkus speaks truth. We have a choice: remain in our comfortable, dying civilization, or risk growing again. I call for a vote on the human Valkyrie proposal. The debate continued for 6 more days. Delegations met in private sessions, forming alliances and counter-alliance. Species that had never spoken to each other in millennia suddenly found common ground on the 7th day. The vote was called. The result was closer than anyone expected. 26 in favor, 19 opposed. To abstentions, the motion passed. Humanity and the Valkyrie would be granted provisional council membership with a path to full status. Within 10 years, a joint task force would search for other hazard species survivors. The containment protocols would be reviewed and reformed. The galaxy was changing. 3 months later, Admiral Elena Vasquez stood in the council chamber. For the first time beside her stood Kethril of the Valkyrie, and to everyone's shock, Drachmer of the Dramath, another supposedly extinct species that had been found hiding in an asteroid field on behalf of humanity. We accept membership in the Galactic Council, Elena said formally. We come not as supplicants seeking approval, but as equals demanding respect. We bring our conflicts and our creativity, our violence and our compassion, our fear and our hope. We will challenge you, frustrate you, and sometimes disappoint you, but we will also inspire you, surprise you, and remind you what it means to grow. Cathrell added. The Valkyrie spent 200,000 years in hiding. Afraid to exist, no species should have to make that choice. We pledge to work toward a galaxy where difference is valued. Not feared, Drakmer, a massive being covered in bony plates, spoke in a voice like grinding stone. The Drameth were destroyed for building weapons to protect ourselves. We learned that survival sometimes requires strength, but we also learned that strength without wisdom leads only to more conflict. We offer both to this council, High Chancellor Zekthern, who had opposed the motion until the end, stepped forward. His crystalline form had lost some of its luster. As if the weight of change had dimmed his light, the council welcomes you, said formally, though I confess I still harbored doubts about this decision. Good. Elena replied, doubt means you're thinking. Certainty is what led to the quarantine in the first place. Counselor Kython's colors radiated joy. This is a new beginning for all of us for 12 million years. We have been comfortable now. We have the chance to be something more. We can be brave. Admiral Thelkos watched from his platform and felt something he had not experienced in eons. Hope the humans were already proposing joint research initiatives, cultural exchange programs, and mixed species exploration missions.